Bruce Van Saun, good to be joined by you again here on Zoom to talk about what's going on at Citizens, and certainly at a very interesting time in the financial markets. And I want to get right to it because I'm sure we're going to have a lot of viewers watching this interview, checking their bank accounts, checking their 401ks, looking at the stock market reports, and wanting to know kind of where are we going with inflation so high, starting to hear talk about recession. So sitting where you are, leading a major regional bank, what do you think the outlook is for the economy right now?
Well, we're still pretty optimistic that the economy is in good shape, the fundamentals, so that if you look at the individual sector, folks have a lot of liquidity, unemployment is low, and they have pent up demand and they want to get out and spend money and travel and go out to eat. And so that's all positive for the economy. Companies are in great shape. So a lot of companies went through the pandemic and had to adjust their business models, become more digital. They built up liquidity, cut expenses. So they've come out of the pandemic in reasonably good shape. And also, I think, have a view that the economy is going to grow. And so they're all having pretty good years. I'd say the wild card that's been introduced has been higher inflation, which is starting to take its tolls on people's spending ability. And companies have had to contend with labor tightness and having to pay more for labor, and supply chain issues and having to pay more to get their supplies. But so far, it really hasn't caused a major disruption in the economy. I think as the Fed raises rates to bring inflation under control, you'll start to see the economy slow a little bit. But our view is it's still probably less than 50-50 that we'll see a recession either in 22 or 23. Might see slower growth, but not probably go all the way to recession.
That's certainly, a happy thing for us to hear. I have to admit, as I've been watching it, become more skeptical in recent months about whether we'll be able to avoid the recession with the Fed doing, 50 basis point hikes and, clearly inflation being more resilient and less transitory than they had said initially. You still sitting here in mid-May think that they might be able to engineer the soft landing we're always hearing about?
Well, look, it may just be very low growth or a technical recession where you have slightly negative growth for a quarter or two. But I don't think you're going to see a deep recession like some of the ones that we've experienced in the past decade around the Great Financial Recession and then the COVID-induced recession. So we'll see if they are able to actually have a pure soft landing or if they just have a very shallow recession. But they're putting the brakes on. They're applying the medicine that I think we need right now to get inflation back under control, and hopefully it'll turn out okay.
They pulled the punch bowl away after we'd all had a few too many glasses, to use that old saying. So we're going to have people watching who might have a mortgage with Citizens. Maybe, they have 401ks, they're saving, they're trying to make the right decisions. The classic advice, of course, for the individual is don't do too much just because the market is plunging and you're getting nervous. Is there anything specific you guys are driving home at Citizens to the individual customers? It's sort of advice on how to get through something, because it can be really scary to people, especially those close to retirement.
Yeah, so I think ultimately diversification has been kind of a fundamentally wise strategy. One of the challenges we've seen in this market is everything's going down together. So if you had 60-40, 60 equities, 40 fixed income, you're seeing losses not only on your equities, you're seeing it on your fixed income. If you had some diversification into cryptocurrencies, you're seeing those go down as well, and those were supposed to be diversifying. So it seems like nothing's really working right now. And I think that's part of just the unwind of the easy money that we had for the last 3 years or so and getting out of the pandemic. And so I think we're going through an adjustment process, but don't panic. Ultimately, things kind of stabilize, and then that diversification should pay a medium and longer term benefit. So that would be probably the best advice on the savings side. And then, if you were able to lock in fixed rates, a lot of individuals refinance their mortgages. And so now they have a very attractive monthly payment on their homes. And I think what you're tending to see is that people will be less mobile and maybe not want to move to that next house, but go out and take out a home equity line of credit and add on to your existing house or put a pool in the backyard or a deck. And so we're seeing a lot of increased demand right now for home equity line of credit. And we in Citizens have been one of the leaders nationally. In fact, we originated more home equity line of credits across the whole country than any bank last year, even though we only play in part of the country. And we've engineered a great process called Fast Line, where we can pre-populate the application and you can get potentially your home equity line of credit approved and within 7 to 14 days, which the industry average is 45 days. And so that's another thing that's differentiating us. So anyway, that's something to look into if you are thinking of home improvements, or you just need some additional equity with all the or cash with all the growth in inflation that's caused housing prices to go up. People have more untapped equity in the house that they can borrow against at attractive rates.
So let's talk about the bank itself. People in the Rhode Island, southeastern Massachusetts region might not realize the big doings that have been going on at Citizens with your geographic footprint with the two big transactions, HSBC and Investors Bank Corp over the last year or so. This has given you branches in New York City and New Jersey, I believe in the Philly area. How big a deal is that for Citizens in terms of your kind of long-term plan for the bank's growth? And do you see even further geographic expansion from here?
Yeah, so last year we saw the opportunity to finally participate in New York Metro, where our strong New England franchise pretty much ended in Southern Connecticut, and then our strong Mid-Atlantic franchise picked up in the southern suburbs in New Jersey of Philadelphia, and there was a gap in between. So just filling in that I-95 corridor and putting 200 branches in Greater New York Metro, pick up 1 million customers, have a number 8 deposit market share in the New York region is very exciting for us, because if we want to be a strong Northeastern bank, you kind of have to have a presence in New York Metro. So we're hopeful that over time that we can bring to New York what we deliver in Boston and what we deliver in Philadelphia to other major cities on that I-95 corridor. I think it'll probably take us 3 or 4 years to kind of get the foundation in place and then build that up and bring our style of banking to the region. But while New York is a very heavily competed marketplace, I think there's room for improvement. And so we see some opportunities to do well and to thrive over time.
And of course, when people in Rhode Island hear about Citizens getting bigger and its geographic footprint, they worry about, the bank's commitment to keep such a big presence in terms of your corporate activities here in the Ocean State. As you look at a bigger map of where Citizens is operating, is Rhode Island still, staying as home base? You did just build that big new headquarters, so I suppose
absolutely. So just because we have its plans to continue to build out and be a stronger bank, that ultimately benefits Rhode Island, our headquarters state, by just having a more successful operation over time. So very pleased with what we have in Rhode Island, and very pleased with the campus we have in Johnston and the quality of labor we're able to attract. We have done some great things actually recently. So we have insourced a bunch of our technology jobs, which we had a outsourcing arrangement with Infosys, and we decided we needed more software engineers inside our company to retain that knowledge in the company and have the software people working side by side with our business people. So we've hired we've hired about 400 folks. Many of those are in the Rhode Island or Boston area. So really great ability to source talent that we're pleased to continue to access.
So one of the things you've done over your decade-ish running Citizens, I think is fascinating, is that partnership with Apple, where you go in, if you're going to buy your phone over an installment plan, you're working with a Citizens Pay system there, and now Microsoft does that with you and a number of other major companies. And now we see that sort of buy now, pay over time system. Lots of other companies getting in that space. Some are banks, some are these financial startups. How important was it for Citizens to be kind of a first mover or an early mover on that with what you did with Apple to position you for where banking is in the 2020s?
Yeah, look, I think it's a great testimony to our innovation here at Citizens, that we're constantly working with our customers to understand their game plan and figure out, can we provide banking solutions and technology solutions that help get them where they're trying to go. So we did that with Apple when they wanted to have an iPhone upgrade program and start to sell more phones through their own stores as opposed to through the wireless carriers. And we did a lot of consultative selling about what is it you're trying to achieve and how can we further those objectives. And that capability that we developed with Apple is very appealing to other kind of big merchants and even some of the big retailers like Best Buy and BJ's Wholesale. So we can have programs that either work for the merchant or work for the retailer and helping them kind of achieve their sales objectives. Many of what you hear in this buy now, pay later is very simple technology that basically says, as an alternative to a debit or credit card at the checkout register, you could buy it in installments and pay it off in 4 installments. And so we're trying to stay out of that low end of the market and actually focus on these more sophisticated programs where we're helping them integrate all their channels, their online channel plus their physical channel. And that's where we're competing and winning. So very pleased with how that's going.
Have to ask always, you've been in this job. What year did you start in this job? I should know.
I started in 2013, in October of 13. So
you're almost at the 10-year mark. You still enjoying it? Do you see yourself staying for a while yet?
Yeah, look, it's I'm having a great time, and I think we've built a great team. We have a great board. I really believe in our strategy and vision of how we're going to become one of the nation's top performing banks. So yeah, I'm here and have no plans to do anything else for a while.
And I hear ambition in that answer. I hear top banks. I don't hear top regional banks anymore when you say that. So not
well,
lost.
You may, I don't know if you caught this, Ted, but last year, Euromoney magazine does an annual slew of awards across the globe, and they designated Citizens as the top U.S. bank for 2021. So it wasn't regional bank category; it was all banks, including JPM and B of A and all the big boys. So anyway. Our progress is starting to be noticed, which is good. But I always tell our people we can bask in the glow of that for like 15 seconds. And then we have to get on and continuing to fix the bank and build out a great bank and do things better and better for our customers and our stakeholders.
I'm a long way since the RBS days when I was first covering you. All right, Bruce Van Saun, thank you so much for taking the time to fill us in on what's going on at Citizens.
All right, Ted, my pleasure, as always.